In the previous session, we discussed about Boussinesq method, Westergaard method and Newmark's method to estimate the increase in vertical stress under different shapes of loading. Now let us discuss about the approximate methods to estimate the increase in vertical stress at different depths and under different shapes of the footing. The important approximate methods are 2:1 method, equivalent point load method and 60-degree distribution method. Let us discuss about the 2:1 method. In this method, it is assumed that the load is distributed from the base of the footing in 2:1 manner, 2 vertical to 1 horizontal. Suppose if the load acting on this footing is capital Q, then the intensity of load on the footing base small q equal to capital Q divided by area of the footing. Now, if we want to estimate the increase in vertical stress at a depth z below the base of the footing, then we should know the area on which this particular load is distributed. So for this, we have to take the ratio of total load divided by area of the soil on which the load is acting. So how to find the area of the soil on which the load is acting? For this, we need the width and length of the soil where the load is acting. So if we take 2 vertical to 1 horizontal distribution, then at a depth of z below the base of the footing, the load will be acting on a width of b plus z. So if you take 2:1 distribution, this projection will be z by 2 and on the right side also the projection will be z by 2. So b plus this is b plus z by 2 plus z by 2. It will become b plus z. So the load will be acting on a width of b plus z at a depth of z below the base of the footing. So if we take the total load as Q, then the intensity of load that is acting at this level is equal to capital Q divided by area of the soil on which the load is acting, that is b plus z into L plus z. If you take the other dimension also, you will be getting L plus z. But this equation will vary for different shapes of footing. If you take strip footing, then the total load is Q and the width is b plus z. The other dimension will be taking as 1 meter because it is strip footing. The other side dimension will be taking per meter length. So, we will be taking as 1. So, b plus z will become the area. So, total load is Q divided by area will give you the stress. Suppose if intensity of load is given on the base of the footing, then we have to multiply with width of the footing, so that you will be getting the total load Q, that divided by b plus z, that is area of footing per meter length. If it is square footing, then load divided by area. Total load is Q and the area on which the load is acting at this depth is equal to b plus z square. And if it is rectangular footing, then total load, which is equal to Q into B into L. Suppose if intensity is given as Q, then we should find the total load, for which we have to multiply with the area of the footing. So when you multiply the intensity with area of the footing, you will be getting the total load on the footing. That divided by area of soil on which the load is distributed. So if you take the dimensions as B and L, then the dimensions of the soil at a depth Z will be B plus Z into L plus Z. So this much load is acting on this much area at this depth. If it is circular footing, then the load, total load is Q, and it is acting over an area of D plus Z square at a depth of Z below the base of the footing. Here D is the diameter of the footing. The next method is equivalent point load method. So in this method, if there is any irregular shape like this, then we have to divide this irregular shape into some regular shapes. Then we have to find the equivalent point load of each shape. Here this area is divided into 3 rectangles, and then the areas of these 3 rectangles are determined. Then when you multiply with the intensity of load acting on this irregular area, you will be getting the point loads at the centers of these rectangles. So if we assume the UDL as point loads, equivalent point loads, and if we find the radial distance from the point loads to the respective point about which we are going to find the increase in stress, then we can use the Boussinesq point load equation, where increase in stress equal to 3q by 2 pi z square into 1 by 1 plus r by z square to the power 5 by 2. So now with respect to each point load, we can find the increase in vertical stress about this point, and then by taking the sum of these vertical stresses, we can estimate the total increase in the vertical stress at this point. The next approximate method is 60-degree distribution method. This method is also similar to the 2 vertical to 1 horizontal method. In this case, the pressure distribution is assumed along a line making an angle of 60 degrees with the horizontal. Whereas in case of 2:1 method, this angle will be around 63.5 degrees. So it is approximately as that of 2:1 method. So these are all the various methods we will be using to estimate the increase in vertical stress at different depths under different shapes of footings. So what is the use of finding these stresses? The stresses in soils are required for the stability analysis of soil mass, settlement analysis of foundations, and for the estimation of earth pressures. If you take the settlement equation, where consolidation settlement equal to Cc into H0 by 1 plus E0 into log to the base 10 sigma naught dash plus delta sigma dash divided by sigma naught dash. So here Cc is the compression index which will be obtained from consolidation test data. H0 is the initial thickness of soil and E0 is the initial void ratio. So here there are two stresses, sigma naught dash and delta sigma dash. So what is this sigma naught dash? It is the initial effective overburden pressure, which is equal to unit weight of soil multiplied by thickness of soil, which is called as geostatic stress. Whereas delta sigma dash, here in the previous equations we are taking as sigma z. both are same. Delta sigma dash or sigma z, both are same. So this delta sigma dash is the increase in stress due to external load like foundations. So this value can be determined using any one of these methods like Boussinesq method, Westergaard method, Newmark's method or approximate methods. Now let us see some examples. A long strip footing of width 2 meter transmits a pressure of 200 kN per meter square to the underlying soil. Using 2:1 dispersion method, compute the approximate value of the vertical stress at a depth of 5 meter below the footing. So here there is a strip footing of width 2 meter and the UDL acting on this strip is 200 kN per meter square. So here it is asked to use the 2:1 dispersion method. So using the 2:1 dispersion method, we have to compute the value of vertical stress at a depth of 5 meter below the footing. So now we have to find the vertical stress by taking the ratio of total load that is acting at the ground level divided by area of the soil at a depth of 5 meter below this load. So if you take 2:1 distribution, then at a depth of 5 meter, the width of soil will be B plus Z. That is, B is 2 meter and Z value is 5. So the width will be 7 meter. So total load is, this is the intensity of load that multiplied by area of the footing will give you the total load or equivalent point load. So which is equal to 200 into 2 into 1. Area of the footing we are taking unit thickness. On the other dimension we are taking per meter. So we will be getting the point load as 400 kilonewton. So now total load divided by area of the soil on which the load is acting is equal to Q divided by B plus Z into 1 per meter length, which is equal to 400 divided by 7. We will be getting the value as 57.14 kilonewton per meter square per meter length. Next example. A rectangular area 4 meter by 2 meter carries a uniform load of 80 kilonewton per meter square at the ground surface. Find the vertical pressures at 5 meter below the center and corner of the loaded area using the equivalent point load method. Draw the diagram for the same. So here the dimensions of the rectangular footing is 4 meter by 2 meter. The UDL acting on this rectangular footing is 80 kilonewton per meter square. So we have to find the increase in stress at a depth of 5 meter below the center and corner of the loaded area using equivalent point load method. So here, because it is at the center of the rectangle, we have to divide this rectangle into 4 equal rectangles. Then we have to find the equivalent point load acting at the center of each rectangle. Since the UDL is same and the dimensions are also same, you will be getting the same equivalent point load. So Q1 equal to Q2 equal to Q3 equal to Q4, which is equal to 80 into, what is the area of this rectangle? So the dimensions are 4 meter by 2 meter. So half of this is 2 meter and half of the width is 1 meter. So area of each rectangle is 2 square meter. So when you multiply with the UDL 80 into 2, we will be getting the equivalent point load as 160 kilonewton. Then we have to find the radial distance of each point load with respect to the point about which we are going to find the vertical stress. So this is nothing but half of the diagonal distance, because this equivalent point load is acting at the center of the rectangle. The radial distance is nothing but half of the diagonal distance. So which is coming as 1.12 meter. And the radial distance is same for all the 4 point loads. So we can find the increase in vertical stress due to one rectangle, and then we can multiply with 4, because all the 4 point loads are same and radial distance is also same. So 3Q value is 160 divided by 2 pi into Z. Z value is 5 meter. R1 equal to R2 equal to R3 equal to R4 equal to 1.12 meter. So if you substitute 1.12 meter in this equation, we will be getting the vertical stress due to one point load, and when you multiply with 4, you will be getting the total increase in stress at point P, which is coming as 10.82 kilonewton per meter square. In the second case, we have to find the increase in stress at the corner of the footing. So for this, we have to divide this area into 4 rectangles, and then we have to find the equivalent point load of each rectangle, which is coming as 160 kilonewton. Then we have to find the radial distance of each point load with respect to the point about which we are going to find the increase in stress, that is corner point. So if you find all the radial distances, and then when you substitute in this point load equation, we will get the total increase in vertical stress at this point. We can also take the equivalent point load at the center of this whole rectangle, and then we can take this diagonal distance as the radial distance, and then we can estimate. But if we divide into 4 rectangles, and if we take the radial distances of each point load, we will be getting more accurate value. Then another example, an earthfill 500 by 1000 meter is constructed to a height of 4 meter on the surface of the ground. The unit weight of the fill is 20 kilonewton per meter cube. Calculate the increase in the vertical stress at a point 4 meter below the ground level and directly below the center of the fill. Use equivalent point load method. So here the dimensions of the earthfill is 500 by 1000 meter, which is like a rectangle. So here we have to find the vertical stress at a depth of 4 meter. So Z value is 4 meter. And the unit weight of the fill is given as 20 kilonewton per meter cube. So here the intensity of load or UDL acting on the rectangle is not given. So what is the UDL acting on this rectangle? It is nothing but weight of the soil. So how to find the weight of the soil? When we multiply the unit weight of soil with depth of soil, we can find the increase in vertical stress. We can find the UDL acting on this rectangle. So 20 into the fill height is 4 meter. So we will be getting 20 into 4, 80 kilonewton per meter square. So this is the UDL acting on this rectangle. So now what is the equivalent point load? If we divide this area into 4 equal rectangles, then the load that is coming on each part will be 1 into 10 to the power of 7 kilonewton. So how to find this value? Here UDL is 80 kilonewton per meter square and the area of the footing is 500 by 1000 meter. So 80 into 500 into 1000 will get so much value. That divided by 4 will be getting the point load as 1 into 10 to the power of 7 kilonewton. Total load is this UDL into area of the footing. That divided by 4 will be getting the point load on each rectangle. Then we have to find the radial distance with respect to each point load, which is same, and it is coming as 279.5 meter. So now if we substitute these values in the point load equation, 3q by 2 pi z square into 1 by 1 plus r by z square to the power 5 by 2, where q is 1 into 10 to the power of 7, z value is 4 meter and r value is 279.5 meter. We'll be getting the vertical stress due to one point load. Since all the point loads are same, we can multiply with 4 to get the total increase in vertical stress. The last topic in this chapter is contact pressure. The upward pressure due to soil on the underside of the footing is called as contact pressure. The distribution of contact pressure depends on the elastic properties of foundation material and the soil underneath. For perfectly rigid footing, settlement is uniform, but the contact pressure distribution is non-uniform and it depends on the type of soil. But if the footing is flexible, then the distribution of contact pressure is uniform, whereas the settlement is non-uniform. If you take sandy soil and saturated soil, in case of flexible footing, the contact pressure is uniform. Even for the saturated clay, for flexible footing, the contact pressure is uniform. In case of rigid footing, the settlement is uniform. See, for all these diagrams, the first part represents the settlement and second part represents the contact pressure. So in case of rigid footing, the settlement is uniform for both the soils, whereas the contact pressure varies depending on the type of soil. If it is sandy soil, the settlement is maximum at the ends and minimum at the center. And if it is saturated clay, then the settlement is maximum at the center and minimum at the ends. And in case of rigid footing, for sandy soil, the contact pressure is maximum at the center and minimum at the ends. Whereas for saturated clay, the contact pressure is maximum at the ends and minimum at the